Hey there and welcome back to Fragrance University. My name is Caitlin, and in this air freshener course video, let's take a look at another type of air freshener, gel beads. Gel beads are just one of the many different types of air fresheners that you can produce. There are 3 ways in which gel beads can be applied for use in air fresheners: straight fragrance, melted, and with water. All of them are made using small transparent plastic beads, referred to as aroma or gel beads, that swell in the presence of liquid. Let's go over each of them now. Aroma beads used with just fragrance and no water are the strongest air freshener of this type that you can make. They are made by soaking the beads in fragrance oil and nothing else. The beads can hold up to 40% of their weight in fragrance oil, making them quite strong once they've fully absorbed the oil. When used in this application, the beads are not meant to swell to their entire size. Instead, fragrance oil is added slowly until they can no longer absorb anymore. From there, they can be placed in an open container or sachet to slowly release the fragrance over time. The scent can last anywhere from a week to a month, depending on how much fragrance or how strong of a fragrance has been added. Shaking or stirring them up over the course of their use can help revitalize them, and more fragrance oil can always be added once they lose their scent. As we touched on in our previous video, they can be colored using a couple teaspoons of mica powder or a few drops of candle dye, both of which will coat the beads and create vibrant colors. As a rule of thumb, you can add up to 4 ounces of fragrance for every pound of dry aroma beads. Add the fragrance ounce by ounce to make sure it's all absorbed. If you add all the fragrance oil at once, it may not properly absorb into the beads. If you want to take your aroma beads a step further from here, you can opt to melt them into shapes using cookie cutters or silicone molds, sometimes called freshies or aromies. These air fresheners are popular for use in the car or other spaces where they can hang and distribute fragrance over time. They are made with aroma beads that have soaked up fragrance oil and colored with mica powder. Any mix of fragrance or color can be placed in the molds before baking to make endless combinations. While ovens vary, they are typically baked at 325 to 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 6 to 10 minutes. It's strongly recommended to perform a test batch in different oven temperatures and bake times. In the oven, the beads will melt and bond to each other, creating solid shapes that can be decorated and used for any location air freshening is needed. The third and final way aroma beads can be used as air fresheners is with water and fragrance oil. When exposed to water, the beads will swell much more than with fragrance oil. A ratio of 1 teaspoon of beads to 2.5 cups distilled water will allow the beads to swell to their full size. If you want to ensure the beads are uniform in size, place them in the water on a lidded baking sheet or dish. If the layer of water is more than 1.5 inches, the beads may not be uniform once swollen. Fragrance oil should be added during this step while the beads are soaking in the water to make sure it's absorbed by the beads. Oil-based fragrances will work in aroma bead applications with water, with some separation visible in the finished product. This can be remedied by occasionally shaking the container they have been placed in. To prevent any separation or sinking of fragrance in the bottom of the container, use water-based fragrance or surfactant and fragrance mixture that has been added to water. Just like straight fragrance aroma beads, new fragrance and water can be added over time as they dry up to keep them smelling good. If you're thinking about making gel bead air fresheners with water, you should keep the following in mind. The beads will work best in room temperature distilled water. Hot water will cause the beads to melt and result in broken beads. As with any water-based products, gel beads are best used with a preservative of some kind. Salt in low quantities works well with preserving your gel beads, but too much can lead to problems in the swelling of your beads. Because of this, potassium sorbate, a food-grade preservative, is a better option. You should also keep in mind that gel beads of any variety can melt when exposed to high heat, so be cautious when storing them near windows where they'll get a lot of sun. If you live in a very hot and dry area, the beads will evaporate much quicker. If you live in a humid area, they will retain moisture longer. They should also be kept out of reach of children and pets because they resemble candy and can be swallowed easily. Finally, it's best to store the product in a glass, HDPE plastic, or fabric container that can withstand exposure to fragrance oil. Gel bead air fresheners of all kinds are visually pleasing, making them a popular option around the home. Because of the variety of containers they can be put in and colors they can be dyed, they are easy to decorate with. You can customize them extensively, like putting them in vessels of different shapes and sizes. Additionally, you can create different combinations of different colored beads for a unique look. Finally, they're relatively cheap and easy to produce. These are great ways to start making air fresheners, so make sure you stay tuned for how-tos where we'll show you the 2 ways to make them. In the meantime, we'll be going over other types of air freshener types. That's all for now. My name is Caitlin, and thank you for watching Fragrance U. Bye!